Good morning students, I am Shomajit sir. Today I am here to deliver my lecture on topic fungi. So this will be a total lecture on topic of kingdom fungi. This is from the chapter biological classification. So watch the entire lecture to gain basics out of it. So without a delay, let's start with the topic kingdom fungi. So let's start. So let's start with the topic fungi, that is kingdom fungi. Now in the kingdom fungi, we'll see these characteristics. You can see below a lot of fungi figures are given. One is bread mold, organ rots, mushrooms, toadstool, that is toxic mushroom, white spot or mustard leaf. So there are many non-edible fungi and few are edible fungi. Alright, so edible fungi are called mushrooms. So what are fungi? They are unique kingdom of heterotrophic organism. The entire kingdom of fungi are heterotrophic and they are cosmopolitan. They are cosmopolitan in distribution and they grow in warm and humid places. Example, bread mold, orange rot, mushrooms, toadstool. White spot on mustard leaves are due to parasitic fungus. Alright. Now some fungi are the source of antibiotics also. Example, penicillin. So fungi are edible, non-edible as well as can be used in medicine. Alright. So some fungi are the source of antibiotic. Example, penicillin. Some unicellular fungi, that is yeast, are used to make bread and beer. So yeast is also used to make bread and beer. And other fungi cause diseases in plants and animals. Example, white rust causing puccinia. So you can see penicillin diagram, yeast and puccinia. So fungi's function is diversified. Few are edible, many are non-edible. Few causes, few produces antibiotics. Few are used in production of breads and beer, and others harmful, causing diseases. Except fungi, except yeast. All right, in fungi, except yeast, fungi are filamentous. Their bodies consist of long, slender, thread-like structure called hyphae. The network of hyphae is known as mycelium. So the entire bed of structure is called mycelium, and from the mycelium each is called hyphae. Each strand is called hyphae. So group of hyphae is formed mycelium. So you can see the figure here. One filamentous structure is called hyphae and group of hyphae is called mycelium. Alright, so network of hyphae is known as mycelium. So hyphae are two types. One is cenocytic hyphae, another is septate hyphae. Cenocytic means they are continuous tubes filled with multinucleated cytoplasm. So cenocytic means they have a numerous nucleus in the cytoplasm, multinucleated, alright. And septate hyphae means they have septa and cross walls. Alright, so the cells are divided, the filaments are divided, and fungal cell wall is made up of chitin and polysaccharides. Alright, so fungal cell wall is made up of chitin and polysaccharides. So you can see here septate hyphae, that means the mycelium is divided, it is separated. Alright, and cenocytic hyphae, thus mycelium is not divided, not separated, and you have many nuclei. And you can see the fungal cell wall here, chitins are there, polysaccharides are there, right? So next you can see most fungi are saprophytes. Alright, so they absorb soluble organic matter from dead substances or substrata. That means saprophytes means those organisms obtain is food from dead and decaying organic matter. So most fungi are saprophyte, some are parasite, and some also live in symbiotic association, symbiosis. Alright, where it stays in the form of lichen. So what is lichen? Algae plus fungi. So when fungi and algae combiningly stay together, it's called lichen. So function of fungi there is it absorbs water and minerals, and algae is photosynthetic. It produces food by the process of photosynthesis and supplies to fungi. As well as fungi, some fungi live in association with roots of higher plant, that is mycorrhiza. All right, so they stay in lichens, in the format of lichens, in the format of, in association with mycorrhiza also. So fungi plus roots of higher plant. So here most fungi are saprophytes, some are parasite, some live as symbionts like lichens and mycorrhiza. So you can see the diagrams. Fungi is given the left side, at middle is lichen, and right side is mycorrhiza. So of reproduction in fungi, how does reproduction takes place in fungi? So reproduction are of three type. One is vegetative propagation, asexual reproduction, and sexual reproduction. So vegetative reproduction, the fungi does it by three methods. One is fragmentation, fission, and budding. And asexual reproduction by asexual spores. All right, by asexual spores fungi does it. So three asexual spores: Cornelia, Sporangiophore, and Zoospore. And fungi does this sexual reproduction by sexual spores, that is oospore, ascospores, and basidiospores. Now let's see the vegetative propagation, that is by fragmentation, fission, and budding. So fragmentation means the filaments will be fragmented, right? It will be broken down into pieces. That is fragmentation. Fission means one cell will be divided into two, that means split up into two, that is fission. It can be seen in yeast. Fragmentation is seen in spirogyra, and budding is seen in yeast. All right, so you can see one is cell budded out into another. Now asexual reproduction takes place by Cornelia, Sporangiospore, and Zoospore. You can see Cornelia are there. All right, next in middle they have, so you can see the Sporangiospores are there, Conidium are there. From Conidium, all right, from Conidia releases, a lot of Conidia is being formed. Next we can see the sexual reproduction. Next we can see the fungi reproduction takes place by sexual reproduction, by, that means by oospore, ascospore, and basidiospore. Basidiospore is produced from basidium, this agaricus, alright, and they are produced in distinct structure called fruiting bodies. So all have a different fruiting bodies. Alright, you can see three diagrams are there. Now there are three steps of sexual reproduction in fungi. One is plasmogamy, karyogamy, and meiosis. So what is plasmogamy? Fusion of protoplasm of two motile or non-motile gametes. The fusion of two protoplasm, it can be two motile or two non-motile, this is plasmogamy. Followed by karyogamy. Karyogamy is the fusion of nuclei. First one was the fusion of protoplasm, second one is fusion of nuclei, third one is meiosis in zygote resulting in haploid spores. So there are three steps of sexual cycle. One is plasmogamy, karyogamy, and meiosis. So you can see the figure given below. All right, you can see here hyphae or spore, plus minus, that means male and female. Plasmogamy takes place, heterogamy takes place, karyogamy takes place, zygote takes place. Then zygote means two, and then meiosis forms haploid, and again spore. So these life cycle is going on in a sexual cycle. All right. So next, in sexual reproduction, two haploid hyphae come together and fuse. In some fungi, fusion of two haploid cells immediately result in diploid cells. All right. So fusion of the two haploid cells immediately result in diploid cells. You can see the structure given, very nicely given the structures. This is the agaricus life cycle they have shown. Basidiospore will be formed, and this is the fruiting body is basidium. You can see right inside the gills are there, the mycelium are there, the fruiting bodies are there. This is for agaricus. So next, in ascomycetes and basidiomycetes, a dikaryotic phase or dikaryophase, that is N plus N, two nuclei per cell occurs. Such condition is called dikaryon. Later the parental nuclei fuse and cell becomes diploid. Alright. So you can see here haploid stage, then dikaryon stage. Okay. Next, fungi forms fruiting body in which reduction division occurs, leading to the formation of again haploid spores. Now we move to the classification of fungi. So based on the morphology of mycelium, modes of based on the morphology of mycelium, mode of spore formation and fruiting bodies, fungi is classified into four as follows. All right. So based on what morphology of mycelium, modes of spore formation and fruiting bodies, fungi are classified into four classes. One is Phycomycetes, Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes and Deuteromycetes. All right. So Phycomycetes is the most primitive, then came Asco, then Basidio, then Deutero. Alright, so we'll take the classes one by one. Now Phycomycetes, what are Phycomycetes? These Phycomycetes are known as lower fungi because they are most primitive in the group of fungi. So they occur in aquatic habitats and on decaying woods in moist and damp places or as obligate parasite on lands. So that the mycelium is or are the mycelium are septate and the mycelium are accepted and synocytic. Accepted means not divided, synocytic means numerous nuclei are present. Example, you can see mucor or rhizopus, that is bread mold, and albugo, that is parasitic fungi or mustard. So you can see all the diagrams are given. Mucor is there, rhizopus is there, albugo is there, rhizopus and bread are there. Alright, synocytic hyphae are there. So these Phycomycetes are lower fungi. Alright, they are accepted and synocytic, and they are found in decaying woods and all. So you can see the asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction of lower fungi, that is Phycomycetes. So the asexual reproduction in Phycomycetes by motile zoospore or non-motile aplanospore, and they are produced in sporangium. And in sexual reproduction, you can see fusion of two gametes to form zygospore. Then gametes are isogamous, that is similar, or anisogamous, or oogamous, that is dissimilar. Alright, when two similar gametes came, that is isogametes. When one large another small, that is anisogamous, and oogamous. One big and small having a flagellum, so oogamous, two dissimilar. Alright, next moving to Ascomycetes, that is sac fungi. This Ascomycetes can be seen in east of penicillium. Alright, east of penicillium. So in Ascomycetes you can see they're unicellular, example yeast and Saccharomyces. Alright, yeast, Saccharomyces, or multicellular, that is penicillium. So mycelium are branched and septate here. They are branched and septate. Previously it was a septate. Alright, and they are saprophytic, decomposer, parasitic, or coprophilous, growing in dung. Coprophilous fungi means those fungi growing in dung. So here you can see they are septate, that means it are divided. See, septate. And previously in Phycomycetes they were accepted, but in Ascomycetes it is septate. Okay. Now asexual reproduction in Ascomycetes, you can see by conidia produced exogenously on the spatial mycelium called conidiospore. So conidium are always formed in the conidiospore. You can see the diagrams given, conidiophore and conidia, and they are present exogenously, that means present outside. Alright, not inside their body, and these conidia germinate to produce the mycelium. And under sexual reproduction in Ascomycetes, you can see an ascospore producing exogenously in a sac like asci or ascus. Asci are arranged to form an ascospore, that is floating body. You can see a lot of ascospores are formed. See, ascospores, numerous ascospores are formed in the ascoscarp. So examples of Ascomycetes, the sac fungi is Aspergillus, clavis, Claviceps, Neurospora. Neurospora is used in biochemical and genetic work, and morels and truffles are edible and delicates. So Neurospora is very important. It is used in biochemical and genetic work. You can see the diagrams given: Aspergillus, Clavix, Neurospora, marbles and truffles. Next we come to different class, that is Basidiomycetes. So this Basidiomycetes includes mushroom, bracket fungi or puff bulbs, So they grow in soil, on logs and tree stumps, and in living plant bodies are parasites. Example, rust and smart. So mycelium are branched and septate. Here they are branched and septate, similar to that of ascomycetes. So examples are given here: mushroom, bracketed fungi, and purples. So here basidiomycetes, only in basidiomycetes example of agaricus is there, that is a edible fungi, all right, that are sold in the market. We call it as mushrooms we eat. So the asexual spores that are generally not found, all right. So in basidiomycetes, the asexual spores are generally not found, but vegetative reproduction by fragmentation is common, and sex organs are absent, but plasmogamy occurs by fusion of two vegetative or somatic cells of different strains or genotype. The resultant structure is dikaryotic and it gives rise to basidium. So you can see in mushrooms, the gills are there, the stalk is there, cap is there, all right. You can see the entire figure is given, the spores are there. So karyogyny and meiosis occurs in basidium, producing four basidiospore exogenously. So basidia are arranged in fruiting bodies called basidiocarp. So in the basidiocarp, the basidia are produced. Example, agaricus, a mushroom that we eat, edible fungi, all right. Edible mushroom fungi, or that is mushrooms, is agaricus, that is sold in the market. Then ustilago, that is smart, and spaxinia, that is rust fungi. You can see agaricus, ustilago, and Puccinia is given. Example, the figure is also given. Last classes of fungi we have Deuteromycetes, all right. So they are commonly known as imperfect fungi because only their asexual or vegetative phases are known, all right, because their asexual and vegetative phases are known. When perfect or sexual stage were discovered, they were often moved to Ascomycetes or Basidiomycetes. So when this Deuteromycetes perfect stage were found, they are present in Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes. It is also possible that the asexual and vegetative stage have been given one name, placing under Deuteromycetes, and the sexual stage with another, placing under another class. So when the linkage were established, the fungi were correctly identified and moved out of Deuteromycetes. All right. So these Deuteromycetes reproduced only by asexual spores called conidia. All right. The mycelium, here the mycelium is septate and branched. Some are saprophytes or parasites. Majority are decomposers or of litters and helping in mineral cycling. Example, we have Alternaria, Trichoderma, Leucotrichum. All examples are given below. Here the myceliums are septate and branched. All right. Thank you, student. This was all about the entire video lecture. Hope you have liked the video lecture and have got the concept about it. So I'm Shomjit sir signing off for today, and again we'll meet in the next class. Thank you, students.